For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition?
I move to suspend the rules and pass HR 3630, the Lymphedema Treatment Act as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
HR 3630, a bill to amend Title 18 of the Social Security Act to provide for the coverage of certain lymphedema compression treatment items under the Medicare program.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone, and the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Billakis, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone.
And Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on HR 3630.
Without objection,
And I yield myself time as I may consume.
the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone, is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak in support of HR 3630, the Lymphedema Treatment Act. This bipartisan legislation sponsored by Representative Schakowsky will help Medicare beneficiaries suffering from lymphedema access needed compression garments. Lymphedema is a condition caused by a chronic failure of the lymphatic system that results in the accumulation of lymph fluid and swelling in various parts of the body. Lymphedema can sometimes be a congenital condition, but is more often a secondary complication of common health issues like burns or cancer. Altogether, an estimated 3 to 5 million Americans are affected by this chronic condition, and if left untreated, individuals have a higher risk of hospitalization, disability, and even death. While there is no known cure for lymphedema, it can be effectively treated and managed. Compression therapy is a critical component of treatment. While Medicare covers some lymphedema treatments like compression pumps, Medicare does not cover the compression garments needed for ongoing lymphedema management because it lacks the legislative authority to cover these items. The Lymphedema Treatment Act will close the unintended gap in coverage that prevents Medicare beneficiaries from accessing medically necessary prescribed compression garments. And I thank Representative Schakowsky for her longtime advocacy on this issue and the over 350 bipartisan members who have signed on in support of this legislation. This bill passed out of the Energy and Commerce Committee in July by a unanimous vote. And I ask well, let me just say that will help ensure that patients with lymphedema have access to the full range of treatments they need. And I urge its passage, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from New Jersey reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it very much. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of HR 3630, the Lymphedema Treatment Act, introduced by my friend and fellow Energy and Commerce member, Jan Schakowsky, as well as Health Subcommittee member Buddy Carter, along with myself and more than 350 members on both sides of the aisle. This legislation will create a new Medicare benefit category, lymphedema compression treatment items, including standard and custom fitted garments and other items determined by HHS for treatment of lymphedema. As many of us know, thanks to a passionate and committed group of patient stakeholders, lymphedema is a chronic condition that may cause significant swelling and discomfort and is often located in the arms and legs, but can also occur in other parts of the body. Unfortunately, there is no cure today for this condition, but patients are able to receive care and that can mitigate some of the symptoms caused by lymphedema. One of the most basic elements of care is the application of compression garments to the swollen body parts. As it stands today, fee-for-service Medicare covers various forms of treatment for lymphedema, but does not cover the basic compression supplies typically used in the regular treatment for this. This is a result of the outdated structure of traditional fee-for-service Medicare, which does not have an existing benefit category that works for lymphedema compression garments. This legislation is yet another reminder that the fee-for-service Medicare as structured today under Part B simply cannot keep pace with medical innovation. Private payers including Medicare Advantage plans, have more flexibility to provide coverage for these products, especially if they add value to the care patients need. As the popularity of Medicare Advantage demonstrates, there's a built-in incentive to provide better value for patients, meaning better outcomes at lower costs. It's been proven. It has been discouraging to see an ever-growing number of situations where a particular drug, for instance, an entire class of Alzheimer's drugs recently restricted by CMS, or other medical products are not covered for seniors and Medicare fee-for-service when other patients in the private market or even in Medicare Advantage may have them covered. I'm hopeful that bills like the one here that we're here to discuss today, where Congress continues to patch the inefficiencies in the Medicare program, not only benefit for seniors, but also help us, all of us recognize that seniors deserve greater Medicare reforms. Those reforms should empower patients with greater control over their healthcare decisions and more ability to tailor their health benefits to their personal needs, all with the goal of no senior being denied or having to lobby Congress to get the medical products they need. Makes sense. Finally, I'm encouraged to see that the new mandatory spending in this legislation will be fully offset, and would encourage my colleagues to continue to insist that we fully offset mandatory spending now and into the future. This is responsible. It's responsible legislating. I want to thank the sponsors again for this bill, HR 3630, the chairman, of course, and the ranking member of the full committee. I fully support this legislation and recommend a yes vote on final passage, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Florida, reserved gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield now to the sponsor of this legislation, it's the chairwoman of the subcommittee, Ms. Shikowski.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Chairman of the committee, and thank my friend, Representative Bill Rackus. And I am just so happy today that we see the Lymphedema Treatment Act on the floor today. And I want to thank my colleague on the Republican side, Buddy Carter, for being a co-sponsor of the legislation and helping to put it forward with so many bipartisan sponsors of the legislation, over 350, whether 366 co-sponsors of the bill. And I look forward to passing it in the House today. And there are enough senators on the other side of the rotunda here that also have sponsored. I look forward to it becoming the law of the land. So I want to thank you to all of the advocates who work so hard, including Heather Ferguson, who is the executive director of the Lymphedema Advocacy Group, and all the people that she worked with to help make this pass. There was also Heather is the mother of a son that has lymphedema. And again, I want to thank all of the constituents who worked so hard to make this happen. So here's what it is about lymphedema. It is not only painful and debilitating, it is also incurable. But we are lucky that there actually is a remedy, a treatment for lymphedema. Many of you may be familiar with it. You may not have known the name. 2/3 of all lymphedema cases develop after cancer treatment, and you see that swelling. But what we don't have is the kind of treatment that is actually needed. Currently, Medicare does not cover these important compression garments, which is what can really help people so very much. And my bill, will actually finally expand access to these garments for lymphedema patients on Medicare. This will absolutely help them to be able, the 3 million Americans who have lymphedema, to be able to have some of the relief that they need at a cost that they can afford. And it will also reduce Medicare costs, because instead of these people developing all kinds of other health issues, they will be able to be treated with these compression garments. So again, I want to thank Chairman Pallone, Ranking Member Kathleen Morris Rogers. I want to thank Buddy Carter, and I want to thank all of the members on both sides of the aisle. And I urge everyone to endorse this wonderful bill and vote yes. Thank you. I yield back.
The gentlewoman from Illinois yields back. Gentleman from New Jersey reserves. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
I have no other speakers, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman
I yield.
reserves. Gentleman from New Jersey.
I have no additional speakers, so we can close.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from New Jersey. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Yes, I just urge, this is a real good bill, a bipartisan bill. We worked very hard on it, and we have a great sponsor here, and a Republican sponsor in Buddy Carter. And I urge that we pass this as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and I assume the Senate will get to work and get this done as well. And I yield back.
Gentleman from Florida yields back. Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
And Mr. Speaker, I would do the same. I would urge passage of this bill. It's another bipartisan bill where we all work together from the Energy and Commerce Committee. And I yield back.
Gentleman from New Jersey yields back. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass Bill HR 3630 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being the affirmative, the rules are. Gentlemen,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request the yeas and nays, please.
the yeas and nays are requested. All those in favor of taking this vote by yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. A sufficient number have risen. The yeas and nays are ordered pursuant to clause 8 of Rule 20. Further proceedings on this question will be postponed.